Hello, world. Welcome to another episode on the Fourth Heritage Mindset. Today, I'm very excited to be hosting my fourth book reviewer, David Muganzi. We're going to be talking about my third book, Beyond the Fourth Heritage. And if this is the first time you're tuning into the Fourth Heritage Mindset, make sure you subscribe to the channel. That supports the channel, and you'll be notified every time a new video comes up. Without wasting much time, let's get started with the interview. David, you're most welcome to the Fourth Heritage Mindset.
Thank you very much. I'm excited to be here.
Great. So the first question for you is, who are you and what do you do?
So, as you've said, my name is Muganzi David Jolly, an African who lives in Africa, Uganda, and I was born here in Uganda. And I'm a medical student. I'm doing MD-CHD in my fourth year. Hopefully, I will graduate next year and become a doctor. And inside medicine, I do a lot of extracurricular in terms of leadership and different health projects across the continent and also in my country. I've been serving with the Federation of African Medical Students Association. And with this, I've run a couple of projects across the continent, working with people from North and South and West Africa. And I have also started a movement recently, where we're working on improving patient quality. It is the newest project I've started. The quality of care in different African countries, and now we are in 7. We have our roots in 7. Hopefully, in the next 5 years, we shall be in all the 55 countries. I'm an enthusiast of the education system changing. An idea that came to me after reading these books. I believe the eclectic solution to the problems has to stem from our education system. So basically, that is who I am.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's a mouthful. As aspiring doctor, but already solving African problems via medical solutions, and you are all over the place. You're very eclectic or balanced person. That is great. So that brings me to the second question. You on record, you've told me before that you've read this book, my third book, Beyond the Fourth Heritage, 4 times. That's a lot of reading, one book. Why did you like the book so much? And what are the main takeaway from the book? Why would you think this is a good book worth reading 4 times?
The first 2 times, I did not read it because I thought it was a book worth reading. The very first time I was exploring because I had read The Fourth Heritage and it
The
had
first one.
shaken, yes, it had shaken the foundation of everything I knew since I was born. So, so the first time I read The Fourth Heritage, I literally trashed most of the ideas. I should say I had cognitive dissonance. So when this one came out, it seemed to be more clearer. Maybe it's because I had read other books after reading The Fourth Heritage. To be specific, The Origin of Consciousness, which is mentioned in this book, it had a very big impact on my understanding of things. So the first time I read it, I did not synthesize everything, I should say. I was not a very good reader. We are not taught how to read such books in a symptomatic kind of way. Our education system will go through learning how to read things where we're going to answer in the exam. But this was talking about my life. It was talking about me. It was talking about who I am, what I can do, my position in the entire universe. So the very first time I was intrigued and I kept thinking about this. And after reading it, I started talking to people about these ideas, but I felt as there's a lot missing. So the ideas were not yet ground in me, and I went ahead to read it a second time because I had time then. The first time was when it had just come out and I was still in high school. So during my vacation, I got a copy at home and I started reading it the second time. So the second time, it really sunk deep, and I I should say that's when its impact on me happened. Yeah.
Mhm.
The third time and the fourth time were really for fun. And up to now, I can open a few pages and go through it. It's similar to what they used to tell us as kids: read your Bible and pray every day. Uh, yeah, the information is really, really, um, it puts my soul and spirit in the right place to work on the things I'm doing and to make my position in the universe solid. That's
Mm.
what I should say. It gave
Wow.
me the best perspective on my life and every other thing that I'm working on.
Wow. No, I really appreciate that vote of appreciation, really, because I poured my mind and spirit and who I am in this book, and the whole purpose was to touch people. It was not to make money or to impress people, but rather to use my mind to make other people be influenced so that they can work on their lives. So it seems mission accomplished by the way what you're saying, because it has changed you. To get into the next question, can you specifically talk about how the book has influenced your thinking, your mind frame, and specifically, what have you done about it? Any specific changes that you've brought into your life as a result of reading this book?
So I will stem from the fourth heritage because this is where it all starts.
Mm,
I read the fourth heritage. I discarded most of its hypothesis and the whole argument solely because of my religious point of view. It was questioning God at some point, and nothing that questioned God rested well in my heart at that time.
okay.
So I discarded everything you tried to say.
Uh-huh.
And the book helped me, number one, to know that the world was created by people like me, and therefore I have to try my best to understand the world as it is and take out the good and contribute and and specifically I should say it widened my perspective on life. I had only a religious lens. Right now I don't know how many lenses I have, but
Yeah.
but I should say I'm looking at life
Maybe you
beyond.
have a human lens.
Probably, yeah, probably. But it helped me look at life beyond my class, beyond my curriculum. That's why you see I'm doing things that are beyond the curriculum, beyond my village where I was born. Uh, it's why I'm now more interested in going out of Uganda, meeting guys from different parts of Africa and the world. And it
Mhm.
is why when I'm working on my projects, I'm looking at them as African oriented. I'm not looking at a scale of Kampala or Uganda because I no longer feel just Uganda. I should say it opened me up. Yeah. So that
Wow.
is how it changed it. I should say it changed my perspective on life in simple terms. And then
Mm,
what I have done in my life ever since reading it, I have gone ahead to start my intellectual journey. It started before, though I should say this accelerated the journey because I was on the journey when I read the book. I grew up in a house where there were many books. My father gave us a lot of books. I read all the Bible stories. So I grew up reading a lot and I was on the intellectual journey, but only the spiritual kind of life. But now I'm reading a lot of books, spiritual books, financial books, historical books, and I should say that is one of the biggest things that I'm doing with my life ever since reading this book. I gotten to know things that I would never have known if I never started that intellectual journey. And except reading, I should say I'm now my perspective on life is more of I'm in control of my life. I used to I should frame it this way. I looked at my life being managed more by God. Yeah, these are things that most it is uncomfortable for people to hear, but that is how most of us grow up. When good things happen, it is God. When bad things happen, it is the devil.
So you are
When
just passive in life. You are just passive. Things were just
I
happening to you.
yeah, to a larger extent, things were just happening to me, and but now I take a concerted effort, I should say, to to try to make out my path. When bad things go wrong, I don't blame the devil. I do introspection and I find out that, you know what, you've gone wrong here because of maybe this habit or maybe this line of thinking. And I think that is one of the best things, knowing that you are in charge.
Mm,
There is no one to lay your bed, you have to lay it. That is one of the things that I'm doing with this.
wow.
I don't blame myself or feel a victim that maybe I'm in Africa, maybe I don't have the best internet, or maybe I don't have the best gadgets to do what I have to do, or maybe I
Mm,
don't have a large bank account so I can't travel. No, I said this is what I want to do, and I
mm,
set out to do, and I should say uh, all that started with with reading these three books, and
mm.
yeah.
Wow, wow.
Besides that, I am working a lot with people across the continent, and yeah,
Wow.
hopefully the next step is to write down what I think. It's been close to 6 years now since I read this book, and I've been thinking about a solution to the problem,
Mm,
because when you read the book, you realize that there is a problem in the way we think, and the problem is across. And when I say it is across, I mean it, because I have gotten the chance to attend high level UN meetings, even involving the UN Secretary General himself. And I have interacted with professors across Africa. I have interacted with politicians, the brightest kids in medical school. And I should say this problem is there, even in myself. Yeah. And the book helps me to see that. And I don't blame these bad things that happen right around, people not keeping time, people being
mm,
reckless, people lacking urgency. Now I know why that happens. And so I'm thinking about what to do about it, starting from myself
mm,
and my surrounding, my immediate
mm,
contacts, relations, my sisters mostly, and my
mm,
brother.
mm.
Because when you read the book, it makes you see that this problem has been around for long, and
What
it
problem?
helps
What
the
problem?
problem of the mindset of a pre-modern mindset. Yeah, a mindset which has the six ills. Yeah,
Mm,
and and so it helps you see that this problem is there in yourself, and that is one of the biggest things I think to appreciate after reading this book. That
mm,
the book is not just talking about people out there; it's talking about you. And the mere fact that it says you have to work on yourself first, I think is the best thing. Because I believe if I work on myself and probably come up with an authentic solution, it
mm,
will help one or another. So I've been thinking about this for the past 6 years,
mm,
and this year I started writing. Hopefully someday I'll publish a solution
mhm, mhm.
that I
Wow.
think will probably stem through the education system, because I think that's where it all starts.
Wow. Thank you so much for those remarks. And just to recap what you said, it's true. When I wrote the book, I was talking about myself as the problem and also the potential solution. And what I see, you were able to see in the books, in the pages of the books, that you are also the problem. And that means you can also be the solution. And so let's spend the time creating solutions for our own mindset. And then over time, maybe the two of us can become 10, we can become 100. And that is how to change the world. The world shouldn't be changed through guns or through uh, changing the group, but rather your mindset and for those who are close to you. So really appreciate that. The next question I wanted to ask you is, what is that? You might have answered this already, but what is that one idea you got from the book, or the most memorable idea from the book?
The most memorable idea is more of a hypothesis from the book, and it says the world the world as we know it was created And for me, that means a lot. Yeah. Because if everything around was created by humans, it means the only way that things are or things become is by humans creating. And that includes me, that includes everyone around me. So I think it's the biggest thing that I took home from that. Yeah. Uh, including coming up with a solution,
Mm.
it has to be created by me or someone else. And yeah,
Mm.
the other take-home message was regarding time, the time scale. Growing up, it was not common for me to think about time in terms of thousands of years, in terms of, yeah, it was not a thing that I would always imagine. But this book gave me a perspective of a time scale. When you talk about there is no evidence that there was no civilization before 10,000 years ago. Yeah. So it makes me see that, you know what, this thing has been going on for some time. Let me say the problem of Africa has been going on for some time, but I now imagine what could be 1,000 years from now. And I think that is a very big way of looking at things. If if we worked on things, imagining what could be 100 years from now, and not just looking at the next year, the next 5 years,
Mm.
seeing how ideas can grow, how civilizations grow, how civilizations die, and that the aspect of time is the second thing that I really, really
Okay.
home as a very big asset from this book.
Yeah, good. All right. The next question I would like to ask you is, if you are to meet someone out there, an African or not, and you wanted to tell them to read this book, why would you tell them to read this book? Why would you recommend this book to anyone?
So I would recommend this book to people. Number one, because we have a problem with our mindsets, which does not allow us to take up intellectual things in the right way. We do not digest them. Yeah. With the pre-modern mindset, even if you read the best books from China or Russia, your interpretation or your perspective is always erroneous. Because just as I said, when I first read the Fourth Heritage, I discarded it because it was touching God, and I had grown up with this thing, and every part of my life was around God, and even the good things from the book, I just discarded them. So that is why this book is important. It makes your brain fertile ground for every other knowledge that you will get. That is what I would say. It
Wow.
makes your brain fertile for interactions, for travel, because in life there are basically two things that make us the travel and the reading, and maybe other experiences. And if you went through these experiences with a brain or mind that is not fertile for knowledge to grow, then that is not good. But if you read this book, it makes your brain fertile. Yeah. Because the problem of, in my knowledge, the problem of Africa has been described best in this book, and the solution too. So that is why this book is very important, to make your brain fertile.
Mm.
That is what I could say. It may
Wow.
not be the final answer, but at
Mm.
least it makes it
Mm.
fertile for the answers to come.
Yeah. And the answers can come from your own mind. They're not going to
Yes.
come from America or Europe or something. Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
That's
that's a very, very good a good takeaway. And I remember one of the things I wrote about in this book is the fact that we Africans, by and large, as it's as if we are intellectual orphans. You know, like intellectually, we don't have we don't give authority to our own thinking, our own writing, our own books, and we feel like we are orphans who have to be fathered by Arab writers or European writers or American writers. So what I hear is you've seen that point that, you know what, you can be with agents, and in the intellectual arena, you can start writing, you can start owning the ideas you read, and you can start configuring your brain, your mind. So
Yeah.
I really appreciate that. Good. Then the last question is, people like us who get a colonial education in Africa, as you grow old, you realize there are many bad aspects of our education that we were taught, and we have to unlearn them, and we have to learn new knowledge. We have to learn unbiased sources of knowledge. What do you think the ideas from Beyond the Fourth Heritage have impacted your view on education? How you want to unlearn some things and how you want to learn new things?
So it will take me back to what I said. Now I look at education as something that was created. Yeah, it was defined and it was created, and therefore I also have the chance to define what my education is. It is actually at the core of the idea that I think is to solve our problem through education by us not solving it, but if the system doesn't change right now, that's okay, but you have your own life, and therefore you can decide to take the extra effort to educate yourself.
Mm.
And it, the book made me see that not only this book, I went ahead to read other books, Pedagogy of the Oppressed by Paul Ferrari, to be specific, and it shows you that education is really learning. It's not just going to school. There are guys out there in Russia who actually don't end up going to university. The guys that read about in the US, they don't get PhDs, but they learn things and they end up contributing. So it has made me look at education as something that is just really learning about the world, learning how the world works. Let me say, education is just learning how the world works. If you go to school and you feel you're not learning how the world works, you have the liberty to go out there and search for platforms to teach you how the world works. And we live in the best time ever, the internet. I can take courses from Harvard, I can read books from China, I can read books from Japan. And this kind of view comes from this book because it shows you that you're on the earth, you're not just in Africa. You can learn from anywhere. So personally, I look at it in that way of seeing education as a system that teaches us how the world works. But if the formal education is not enough, it is very, very possible for anyone in the world to go out there and learn how the world works.
Wow. Wow.
Personally, take the initiative to learn how the world works. I can give you an example. So in medical school, there is no specific course unit about how to manage teams or to run projects. But I felt that this is what I want to do with my health career. I felt this is the best way to actually solve continental problems. You have to be able
To manage projects.
you have to be able to coordinate teams, to run teams, to manage teams on a continental level, and there's no course for that. But I have gone ahead to read a couple of things, watch a lot of YouTube videos, ask experts, and have consultations from these people, and also put myself in positions where I am learning on job, I should say. Yeah. So I cannot say because medical school doesn't have this kind of thing, so I don't have to learn it. And that is just for the professional way. But also in terms of looking at life, in terms of religious point of view, in terms of how you define yourself. If education doesn't teach you that, you have to go on your own. Yeah. So that's what I hope I've responded to the question correctly. What
Yeah.
I think can be done to educate ourselves better. And currently, I think the solution is everyone to go on their roots personally, to learn what they have to learn. The challenge would be identifying what you have to learn Um, that is where it is important to read this book first.
Yeah,
You
to
will
know.
get to know the limits of your thinking, yeah,
Mm,
to know the limits of each of your heritages, and then
mm,
you identify information to fix those. That's
mm.
what I think.
Wow, great. That's a very good point. And for listeners out there, what David is saying is, if the education is bad, don't whine about it. There are ways to have good education on your own, especially with the internet that is becoming ever and ever cheaper and cheaper every single day. So you can go on YouTube, you can go on Google, you can go on many great universities' websites and learn things for free or for a very small amount, but most of them are for free. So if education is bad, you find a good education and educate yourself. Stop complaining that the system is bad or education is bad. Okay, good. So that's the end of the interview. Um, before I ask you to sign off with the last word, for the viewers out there, we are reviewing this book, Beyond the Fourth Heritage. It is my third book. The first book I wrote was The Fourth Heritage and the Fourth Republic, then this one, Beyond the Fourth Heritage. And you can buy it on Amazon, or if you're in Uganda, if you go to my website, www.fourthheritage.com, you can get contacts there where they can hand deliver the book to you, or you can find the books in some you can find the book in some bookshops. Okay, so the last question, David, is we are signing off. Any last word for my viewers?
So for everyone watching this, count yourself very lucky because you have the best information. You're receiving the best gift any African can get right now. And what I can say is, if you've not read the book, it's the best investment you can make for your life. Personally, it was the best because the book maybe goes for like 60,000 shillings, Ugandan shillings, or something like that. I got what I got from that book is more than what uh, um, my education, which costs millions, has given me. Because perspective in life is the best thing that you can have, and
Mm,
this one you have to accept. You
mm,
have problem with mindset, there are a lot of limits to the heritages you got, but that is not the end. There are solutions, and the solutions start with you, and this book will really help you on the journey. That is what I can say to the viewers. Thank
wow.
you.
Well put. Thank you, David. Just reiterate what you just said. You said the money you spent in this book was worth an investment because, according to you, it has had more impact in how it has opened your mindset more than the formal education where you've spent millions and millions of shillings. That's a big point. And it just goes to confirm the fact that when you read books are supposed to be food for your mind, and when your mind or your brain takes in ideas from a book, they are supposed to be lifelong. They should have an impact for the rest of your life. So if you found that there are ideas in this book that unlocked your thinking, and you will live the rest of your life learning based on how this book has unlocked you, I feel my job was well done. So I really appreciate that feedback. And with
Maybe I
that,
can add one small thing
sure.
because I've thought about something called the limit of survival, which
Hmm.
is the biggest limit to the intellectual journey for most people. They feel that they're coming from a poor background, so they're looking around and they're not seeing money, and they don't think that it will be solved easily by reading a book, and they would rather hustle and do 5 jobs. Personally, I should say I have actually been able to make more money because of the way I am and the positions I'm um, in in terms of my financial space. Yeah, and even if I don't have money right now, I believe that when I continue on this journey, I will overcome the limit of survival. I call it the limit of survival.
Hmm.
So people out there, I think it's the biggest limit to people thinking that reading will not solve. No, it will actually make you better, more productive. You'll be able to think better. You'll be able to work better. You'll be able to deliver better. And these are just tip of the iceberg of the things you'll be able to do better. Because
Mm.
when you read this book and know yourself better, trust me, the sky is the limit.
Wow. So you're saying instead of people trying so hard to be in the rat race, hustle, odd jobs here and there, let them spend a little money to get a book like this one, specifically this book, and read
Yeah.
it for a month or two, because after that, their minds will be opened, sharpened, and they will realize that they can go back in the rat race or to do work, and they will be sharper. They will they will
Yes.
get more out of it. Wow.
Yes. That's what
Good,
I'm
good.
saying.
All right. With that, I don't think we can go any further. That's a very nice point to end. Thank you everyone for watching this episode. Remember, everything we do on this channel is to inspire the change of mindsets, especially our African mindsets. Bye for now and talk to you next week.